Hello, welcome back. And this is Morris Nimba, and we want to create the steel bars or the steel members on top here that will be holding the steel, the advertising frame, the steel frame for the advertising canvas. Now, on top here, if I press Control R, and I'll be able to snap on a particular location or defining my rotation point and left clicking and hold my mouse and rotate, that will be able to turn that around like that. So if I zoom closer, you'll be able to see this member. So my target will be, I want to place points along this particular horizontal member. So if I click on it, you'll be able to see this is the datums. And this is the locations that will help me place the points. So once this has been highlighted like that, I'm coming to edit and come to points. So I click on drop down arrow there and pick on at any position. So I'll snap on that point right there and snap on the point right here. So I'm going to use the 2 points here. What I'm saying, I'm going to select that, press Control, and I'm going to pick on this point I've just created. So I want to copy it up. And to copy it up, first of all, you have to confirm the thickness or the diameter of this particular member. So to confirm the diameter, just double click on this member and you'll be able to see this is 650. So that 650 is what we are going to use to offset this or to copy these members or to transfer these points up here. So I'll right click once again and come out of that command and start my selection afresh. So I'll select on that point and press Control while pressing Control and select on that point. So I'll right click and come to spatial move here and click linear, and on the z-axis I'll just type 650 right there and I'll click move. So the points have moved up here. So this is the location where I wanted the points to be on, because the key point why I'm using these 2 points is to guide me on the exact location where I will be placing these steel members that will be holding the advertising frame that we will be creating as you move step by step. So I'm going to create the midpoint between these 2 points here. So I'll come to edit and come to points and click on the drop down arrow and pick online option there. So I'll snap on this particular point and move all the way to this far end here and snap on that point. So if I click that way, I'll be able to create a point in between the two. So before creating another point, first of all, let's check the distance between these 2 points. And before even measuring, this is from here to here is 3 because the full length of this particular member is 6. So we want to create another point between this point and that point. And this is how we do it. We'll just zoom close to that point right there and move to this particular point right here. So I'll snap right there. So I've created a point here and a point here. So I can transfer this point here by just selecting this point, then right click and come to copy and hold that point from this point there and place it right there and have the 2 in place. So let's check the distances and come to measure, and I want to measure this from there to here. That is 1500 millimeter. So that's exactly what you wanted to create. Now, another thing you want to do, this point is closer to the edge, and that will make it very hard or harder to create a member here. Now we want to give it an offset of 200. We'll eat slightly on this far end by 200. So what will remain will be 1300. The same thing will apply there. We'll offset that inside by 200 and that side by 200. So let's go and do that. I'll select that point right there and click move, and I'll come to spatial move here and click linear. So on the y-axis, you can see the y-axis is pointing on the opposite direction where we're moving to. So if you copy any member or any point using the XYZ axis, the axis you are copying that component to is the only axis that you should feed the particular distance you intend to offset with. The rest should remain 0. So let me change to 0 and come to y-axis. And I want to change that to by 200 millimeter. And since we are moving on the opposite direction of y-axis, as you can see here, we'll prefix this dimension with a negative sign. So I'll go ahead and click move. So if I click move right there, I'll be able to see that has moved inside. So I'm going to do the same thing here. I'll select on that, then right click and come to right click once again. This is appearing because our command is still active. So I'll click interrupt once again and right click and come to click interrupt, then right click again, and we can go ahead and select that point, right click and come to move. And if I click move, and since we are moving on the positive direction of y-axis, so I'll get rid of this prefix of negative sign. So I'll remain positive. Without a negative means positive. So I'll go ahead and click copy. So I've shifted that point to that location by 200 millimeter. So what I'm going to do, I want to create a member here. That way, a member here that will be stretching that will be hanging the other side 750 and hanging this side by 750, a total length of 1500. So how do we do that? I'll use this. Select on that, right click and come to. Let me right click and interrupt. I'll select on that point, right click and come to spatial copy and I'll pick on linear. So once I've picked on linear, I want to offset or create a point in the direction of x axis by 750. Let me just type 750 there because a full length of that steel member will be 1500. So I'll go ahead and click copy. So I've created that member there. So I'll copy this. I'll select from that point right there. I'll select this point, right click and come to copy, and I'll hold it from that spot and copy it right there. So you can see if I press Ctrl R and try to turn that around, you can see I have the 2 points in place. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a member here. I'm going to come to steel and come to steel beam and pick on the beam, and I'll snap on that spot and snap on this spot right here. So you can see a circular hollow section. It is appearing because that is our default member creation as it is now. Now I'll double click on it and modify this or customize this to a preferred steel size or steel member profile. So this one I'm going to use an I-beam. So I'll come here. I'll come to steel profiles here. Let me just scroll down. I'll come to steel sections here and click on that. So that is a steel Z and all that. So that I don't need that. I need I profiles like there. So if I come to beams here, I'll be able to come to 2 or 3s. Click on that and I'll pick the first one and click apply and give it an OK and give it an OK here. So I have that member in place. So if I press Ctrl R and pick my rotation point, if I turn that, you'll be able to see I have that member in place. So this member will not be sitting right on top of this circular hole section. It will not be strong enough. So we are going to create another member here. We are going to offset this by 100 upward. So I'll right click and come to spatial move here and pick on linear and I'll move it up. Let me change that to 0. So on the Z axis, I'll just type 100 millimeter and offset it up by 100. So I'll do the same thing with this point because this will help me in creating a column there accurately. So if I create the point, now I can use either column, I can use either a beam tool or a column tool. So let me just create the point so that it will make it easy for me to create a member right there. So I'll come to spatial copy and pick on linear, and I want to move this copy. I create a copy of a point upward by 100 millimeter. So let me just type 100 millimeter right there and click OK right there. So I have 2 points here. So these 2 points will help me create a column using a beam tool. So I'll come here and create a tool here, create a column here using a beam tool right there. So you can see I've created a beam here. A column that will be providing a seating for this particular beam here on top here. So if you take a look here, this beam is not sitting right at the center of this particular circular hollow section. So what do? We have to reposition this. So what I'm going to do, I'm just double click on this, double click on that particular member, and come to this position options here. We have 3 options, and the 3 options have 3 options against it. So under vertical, we have all that, middle, down and up, and we'll come to vertical. We'll come to vertical, and as it is now, it is in the middle, and we'll use the horizontal. We'll take this to the middle and click OK. So that will shift it to the middle position. So if we take a look, you can see that member sitting right in the middle. Now we want to create a connection. We want to weld it. This will be welded directly on this circular hollow section member. So what we're going to do, we are going to weld that. We're going to click on the applications and components where we get all the macros here, and I'll type a tube, because this connection is a tube for tubes. So I'll just click inside and scroll, and I'll pick around tube, and I want to connect this member to this member. So the process of selection also matters a lot, because this is where you'll find yourself creating something that is really weird and will scare you if you're new to techno structures. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to undo that, and I'll come back again to this particular macro and invoke that command, and start and select my main part as the circular hollow section, and my secondary part at that. So you can see I've created a connection between these 2 points. A reason why I don't want to redraw, because I want to retain my points in place, because once I've created a connection here, I'll be able just to copy them as we go. So I've created that, welded this beam to this. So the next thing, I want to create a connection between this member and this member by a bolt. It is a bolt connection. So this direction will be done. This will be erected first, then this will be placed on top, and this will be part. This member and this member will be an assembly with this one here. This, and this will be an assembly on its own when doing the mountings. So let me come and here and create a connection here, and our connection we'll use here is 144. So the 144, I'll just invoke that command or double click on it, and I'll come here and pick my connection here, and I'll go ahead and click load, and this is what I'm going to use. I'm going to create a connection between this and that, and that process is not working out, so I'll come here and connect that to that. So I've created a bolt connection between the two. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to copy this. I'm going to select this and press Ctrl and select this. So I'll right click and come to copy and pick this point, pick the whole assembly from this particular location and place it here. And go ahead and place another one here. And go ahead and place another one here. And go ahead and place another one right there. So you have all these members in place. Now once I have placed this in their exact locations, I have no fear of now losing the points. I can go ahead and right click and click redraw to refresh everything. So you can see this is what we have in place. So these members are the ones that will be holding our steel canvas frame. So let's meet then on the next presentation, where we'll be adding more details on this particular outdoor advertising billboard. And let's meet then. This is Morris Limba, and don't forget to subscribe on this channel so you can see that. Let's first of all have a look on that. I'm pressing my left button after defining my rotation points, and I'll be able to rotate that while holding my left button on my mouse and move my mouse like that. So this is how it looks. So bye bye, and let's meet then.